Being diagnosed and having to live with a serious, potentially life-threatening illness will affect every aspect of your life. You may feel sad, angry, frustrated, resentful, and overwhelmed. You may have feelings of loss in regards to changes to your independence, privacy, health, and your expected future. You may worry about things like how it's going to affect your relationships, your finances, work, or activities that you enjoy doing. All of these feelings are perfectly normal, so give yourself some grace. As I myself, being somebody who has survived the unimaginable and is still currently living with difficult diagnoses, I have learned some valuable lessons along my journeys. And I would love to share with you in the hopes that you can implement some of these tools in your own fight to victory. I want to welcome back all of my OG subscribers and members here on my channel. And if you're new, my name is Christoph. It's so nice to meet you. Please hit that subscribe button as we would love to have you aboard and part of our Heart Train family here on my YouTube channel. I am 41 years old. I was born July 13th, 1983. I'm a Cancer, for the best signs. And even though I was born apparently healthy with no issues at birth, lurking in the shadows was my diagnosis of myofibrillar myopathy. Now, as I mentioned, over the course of my life, I have survived so much medically. And therefore, I've had a number of different diagnoses throughout my life. Each diagnosis also affected me differently depending on where I was at in life and also my maturity level. For example, I was diagnosed with cardiomyopathy when I was just 6 years old after collapsing at home with complete heart failure. Now, while I was definitely very scared of the unknown, everything was so unfamiliar and really painful and uncomfortable at times, I truly do believe that my innocence and my lack of knowledge protected me in a way from feeling the full weight of what was happening to me. I never really embraced the concept of death or just how serious my situation was at that time. And so I do believe being so young was a blessing in disguise. Additionally, to that point, I find that having lived with chronic illness for the majority of my life, it's all I've ever known. And so I have adapted quite well to being somebody who lives with chronic illness and goes through life on a day-to-day basis facing challenges. Now, as I got older and I started to really understand the concept of illness and death, things were certainly much more scary for me. I can tell you that I was not prepared to receive the news that I needed a heart transplant at the age of 16 to survive. This was a concept that was completely foreign to me. And as I mentioned in my short documentary, it was like something out of one of my favorite horror films. I could not imagine this idea of taking somebody else's heart and putting it into my body. I went on to then be diagnosed with kidney failure while waiting for my second heart transplant, spending 7 months in the intensive care unit, diagnosed with respiratory failure, the beginning stages of myofibrillar myopathy, when my diaphragm muscle started to give out, diagnosed with thyroid cancer at the age of 35 and having half of my thyroid removed, being diagnosed with a pulmonary embolism only a year and a half later, and being put on blood thinners for 2.5 years. And yet I will say this, the most difficult diagnosis out of all that I've received is the one of myofibrillar myopathy. You see, because every other diagnosis, there was a solution. There was a potential treatment. There was something that I could do to make things better and improve. Unfortunately, with myofibrillar myopathy, there is no treatment at this time, and there is currently no cure. It's a progressive condition that has slowly debilitated my muscles to the point of making me a fully disabled quadriplegic on life support. Every single diagnosis has come with its own set of challenges. And I must emphasize that there is no such thing as an easy diagnosis. However, time and time again, I have managed to weather the storm of those very dark and uncomfortable emotions and turn them into strength and power. So any of you that are watching right now who has recently received a diagnosis or is currently living with a disease, chronic illness, or going through a particularly difficult time, I would like to share with you a few helpful tips that you could possibly implement to help get you through. Get the facts about your health condition. And I'm not talking about going to Google. That's probably the worst thing that you can do. I made that mistake going to my first heart transplant, and it only made things so much worse because you're really not dealing with facts. It's all speculation, and as somebody who's unfamiliar with medical terminology, it can be really difficult to decipher between what is a actual factual article versus somebody's opinion that they have just written and presented nicely online. Your healthcare team can help and provide reputable sources where you can find out about possible treatment options. Knowledge is power. And the more you know about your diagnosis is the more that you can have two-way conversations with your healthcare team about the best approaches and practices to attack it. Express your feelings. I have said this so many times and I cannot stress it enough. You have to let yourself feel all of those very necessary emotions. Things like denial, fear, anger, frustration. All of those feelings will only make you more sick if you hold on to them and you do not express them. Allow yourself the time and grace to process those emotions. Everybody's process is going to be different, so don't compare yourself to other people. Just do what's best for you. Share your feelings with your family members, your friends, and even medical professionals. Getting feedback and other outside opinion, as well as support and encouragement, can be vital to your getting through a difficult diagnosis situation.